Yeah, man. Before I get off into what I want to get off into, when you have a loved one that's had a stroke and they couldn't do what they used to do, it's very difficult is to sit there and watch somebody that you love be in pain. The stroke takes this stroke here was a very severe stroke. I would say that this stroke here is more severe than the end of the average patient who is bedridden. And I'm praying for her, my mother's recovery. Uh, I have a burning passion to see her back. Her life goes back to normal. I have a burning passion for it, and I enjoy every bit of doing. I mean, being here and doing what you know what I'm saying. I really enjoy it. You know, I'm not trying to act like I'm better than nobody else or anything like that. But when I say whatever I'm saying, the stuff I'm saying, I genuinely means well. Excuse me, I genuinely means well. You know what I'm saying? And do I be in pain every day? Of course I do. Mentally, I'm in a lot of pain. Yes, I am because I wouldn't even want to even imagine being. It feels like you are though mentally because you can't do nothing for yourself. Just imagine being there and you can't do anything for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I want to cover too. People always, since it's on my mind, I didn't think I was gonna go here. Actually, I'm doing, and then I'm reading these lessons. These were the lessons that I used to read in when I used to be in Christianity, when I was in the Seventh Day so-called Adventist faith, and they had these lessons, but they got some good information in them. Introduction to the Book of Daniel. This is the first one. But you know, but anyway, somebody wrote up under my comments months ago, and under my on my other channel, and they said I was talking about how religion has ruined the lives of people. And I'm not part of religion, and people tell you trust in God, and people that believe in God and all that. They can say that type of stuff, tell you what to do when you telling them something probably is hitting home that's gonna bother them, and they offended because you told them the truth. Then somebody commented up under my video, trust God and all that type of stuff. I said, well, look, the only God that they see is you, homeboy. That's I think that's what the reply I gave back to him. The only God that they see is you. You looking for you saying trust God. That's like me telling my own mother who is ill or whatever, you gotta trust God. But I got her in a nursing home, or I got her in a situation to where I'm just giving an example. Trust God, and she's sitting there. Just say, you see how ignorant that is? Because look, I told him I said the only way, homeboy, that she going to see God. That's how she gonna recognize and see God, because I'm the only God she gonna see. But you telling me to trust God, I have to put that in order for that person is to trust God. I got to put forth an effort and show them God through my actions. That's how people can see God, bro. They see God through uh, not just by what you say, but what you do. But Obviously, he was stuck into his Walt Disney world, to where we have been taught wrong in the Christian churches. You see what I'm saying? Because the God that you think you don't have, or they say you're supposed to go to theology school. Everything that you would, when you was born, you got everything that you need, because God, when He created you, He created you with all the tools that you need. You don't need to go and uh, join yourself to a institution, a man-made institution, when the Most High told you you got everything that you need. You don't need nothing else. You got it. It's already in you. It was born in you. So what in the world would you sit around looking for somebody when they already supposed to see God talking to you? Because that's the only way that person gonna see God. That's like if a family tell me they hungry and they need some food, and I tell them, well, you got to trust God for it and all that kind of stuff. Homeboy, that's the only God they gonna see. You know what I'm saying? Big homie, that's the only God they gonna see. How you gonna sit around and tell somebody to trust God? They have to see it through you. You are the God. You are the one that have to do. We've been taught in Christianity to look elsewhere for it, and they're gonna come and rescue you. No, you is the God. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. You are the only God that person's gonna see, man. People go around and say, trust God, this and that. Homeboy, you the only God they gonna see. That's like me telling, like I said, I'm gonna reiterate. I'm telling mama, trust God, trust God. I can sit there and say that all day, but that's not gonna get her need. That's not gonna get her cleaned up. That's not gonna get food in her mouth. That's not gonna get food in me just uttering words and telling her that trust God. That's stupid. You have to do something with your hands that God give you. That you are the whole time. That's God the whole time. You remember when the woman at the well, she was standing asked for. She had a picture and she was asking. I think it was she was talking to a Samaritan. She said, "We don't have," and she didn't realize that she was already talking to the Messiah. Remember when John the Baptist said, "Do we look for thee or do we look for another?" And he said, "John the Baptist is already here," because his spirit and the power of that person is still here. Yeah, it's still here. So the only God they're gonna see is you. So stop it with this other crap, other bullshit. The only God they're gonna see is you. Let's get off into this here. How to interpret Daniel. There are four major prophecies in the book of Daniel. 1, Daniel 2, Daniel 7 and 3, Daniel 8 and Daniel 9, and Daniel 4 through and Daniel 10 through 12. Each of these prophecies covers the broad sweep of history from Daniel's day to the end time. The focal point of each prophecy is the time. Is the end of time. Number one, we will discover that Daniel 2 gives us the broad outline of human history from Daniel's day to our day. 2, Daniel 7 covers the same Daniel's his we will discover that Daniel 2 gives us the broad outline of human history from Daniel's day to our day. 2. Daniel 7 covers the same time period with different symbols and elaborates on a certain period in the time of the end. 2. I mean, yeah, I think, is that 2? Daniel 8 and 9 also covers the same ground, but added further details on the time of the end. 4. Daniel. Oh, that was 3. The one, two, three. The third part was number 3. Okay. Daniel 4. I mean, excuse me, 4. Daniel 10 through 12. Likewise, go over the same ground and further explain our understanding of the end time. The principles that Daniel used is what is called outline prophecies, in which world history is outlined from Daniel's day to the time of Daniel's day to the time of the time, and each subsequent prophecies elaborates on the end time. Elaborate, somebody that can expand on something. In employing this method, Daniel made certain that he rooted the prophecies in history, so that as we see them unfold, we can constantly see where we are living in the stream of history. This prophecy seminar attempts to utilize this principle of interpretation, which is so clearly annihilated in the book of Daniel itself. In other words, we will discover that each of these major prophecies began in Daniel's day, containing through history, and then focusing on the end time. Amazingly, we will discover that we today are living in Daniel's predicted time of the end. The student should be aware that other interpretations are suggested for the book of Daniel. Some okay. The student should be aware that other interpretations are suggested for the book of Daniel. Some have erroneously dated the book of Daniel in the 2nd century BC and have interpreted the events in the book as occurrently mainly in the Grecian Empire. All of these things refers to the white people, the Caucasian people. The Grecians are another word for the slave masters of the Caucasian people. These were Greeks, like the so-called white people. This is a time period that they were ruling the planet. You know what I'm saying? The Grecian Empire is like a organization or power, something that a structure. They feel that all the prophecy of Daniel were fulfilled then, and that the book of Daniel has little meaning for today. for today. Others have gone to the opposite extreme and suggest that everything in the book of Daniel will yet take place in the future. Since this view of the prophecy is not rooted in history, no one can be sure when they will take place. The method of interpretation e- e- expound, exposed by this prophecy seminar, however, is consistent with the biblical evidence. It sees the prophecies as beginning in Daniel's day, but culminating in the end time. Thus, the prophecies span thus the prophecies span the ages rooted in history, but focusing on the future. This has been the most consistent interpretation of the prophecies of Daniel and Revelation by Jewish and Christian scholars from earliest times. Lesson two will explore. Okay, I'm gonna go into lesson two. Lesson two will explore the exciting theme of the book of Daniel. Once the theme of the book is clear, we will begin our chapter study. Thrilling times are ahead of us as we unravel these fantastic prophecies and see how the various stories relate to the time of the end. It is imperative to remember. I'm about falling asleep. It is imperative to remember that the focal point of the book of Daniel is the time of the end and the end of the conflict between good and evil. It will be exciting for you to discover through your study that we today are indeed living in the time of the end. The time of the end foretold in the book of Daniel. Yeah, I see I'm falling asleep here in the book of Daniel. As the time of the end and the end of the conflict between good and evil. It will be exciting for you to discover through your study that we today are indeed living in the time of the end, foretold in the book of Daniel. What reassuring, assure, assurance, excuse me, reassuring, assuring news for people every everywhere who face the future with apprehensions, and even more important, both Daniel and Revelation focus it on Jesus Christ, and reveals fantastic new amazing facts regarding him, his plans for the future. It is our hope and prayer that you will get to know him better in this prophecy seminar. Number nine, is it your desire to know Jesus better? Okay, now they got Jesus. It's supposed to be Yahweh or something. Jesus better through the study of the prophecy of the book of Daniel. Yeah, I got to go in here and fill the blanks in. What are the two parts to the book of Daniel? Okay. Uh, This is the second is 32 lessons. Yeah. The cosmetic warfare in Daniel. Yeah. The cosmetic warfare in Daniel. Okay. The cosmetic warfare in Daniel. Cosmetic warfare. It sounds like something coming out of Star Wars. Yet, strange as it may seem, the book of Daniel reveals a cosmetic warfare going on behind the scene. The rise and the fall of the empires and kingdoms are not simply happening in world history. All that is taking place is a part of the great controversy between Christ and Satan. The book of Daniel can be correctly understood only when it is seen in the context of this cosmetic struggle. Now, most people like that's important. That's the context. That's the key word. Putting stuff in context. Like, uh, we got so many people. They got so many things out of context. Like they'll tell you God loves everybody, things like that. You know what I'm saying? And they don't. In a sense, they right. They don't include they include everybody in that, so all those things has to be broke down. In order to understand any book, one needs to ascertain first of all what is the main theme of the book, what the book is trying to reveal. In this lesson we will draw aside the curtain and see that the central theme of the book of Daniel is this cosmetic drama being played in ancient Babylon. Ancient means something old fashioned of old, something like that, I'll say. Babylon, what happened? Okay, now you going this is going into Nimrod and his um let's look at who was the first. Let's do this here. Who is the first rulers of Babylon? The first ruler of Babylon was Shem Abam and Amorite king who established the first dynasty of Babylon in around 1894 BCE. He was a chef, a chief, a chieftain who declared independence from the city-state of Kezu, laying the foundation for Babylon's rise from a minor city to a major power over time. He was an Amorite leader who founded the first dynasty of Babylon, which became known as the Old Babylonian Empire. He established the city of Babylon as a significant center of power in Mesopotamia. Now, that's an interesting word, that Mesopotamian. I think all of this is to control Africa. That's where the Philistines, I think, they root the Palestinians, or they or something like that. They occupied their space. He established the city. Okay, let's look at that up. Who ruled the city of Mesopotamia? There is no historical evidence of a city named in Hela in Mesopotamia. The search results indicate that Hall is a modern stream serves, and that the initial query may be based on a misunderstanding of type. The name may have been confused with a major Mesopotamian site that has been subject of historical document document documentarian material documentaries available on streaming service like Hub, but are not named Hub. I'm going to okay. I'll just look at it. Some of the most significant sites in the cities states in Mesopotamian reign included Babylon, famous capital of Babylonian Empire, known for its extensive laws, code of Hannibal, and legendary Hagens and the Gardens. Nineveh, a major capital as Assyrian Empire, considered the largest city in the world at its height. Okay, Nimrod and his mother Muru Babylon. The name Nera is not associated with Nimrod in any historical or biblical context. Instead, the name Samaritans is often linked to Nimrod in occult, yep, and precedented historical traditions where she is portrayed as his mother and consort, and sometimes the goddess of Babylon. Through this is not supported by the evidence of Nimrod, a biblical figure and a powerful ruler and hunter, is described in Genesis as descendants of Noah, but his mother is not mentioned. Okay, it was something that was in Nimrod, biblical figures and powerful ruler and hunter. Okay, he was a mighty, when they say he was a mighty hunter, it's talking about how he was deceiving a lot of the souls and things under the rulership of another institution called a religion. All of this is based upon how these religions during the ancient time was developing and coming into modern day time. You see what I'm saying? When it talks about Nimrod doing what he did, you know what I'm saying? Let's read that again. It says the name Mary is not associated with Nimrod in any historical or biblical text. Instead, the name Samaritan is often linked to Nimrod in occult and precedented historical tradition. Excuse me, precedented historical traditions where she is portrayed as his mother and consort, and sometimes the goddess of Babylon. Thought this is not supported by evidence of Nimrod, a biblical figure and a powerful ruler and hunter, is described in Genesis as the descendants of Noah, but his mother is not mentioned. Okay. According to the Bible, Nimrod was the son of Cush, the grandson of Ham. This is the Ham, the father of the Africans, and the great grandson of Noah. Notable actions. He was known as a mighty one in the earth and a mighty hunter before the Lord. Finding sites, the biblical account states that his kingdom, including cities like Babylon, Urka, Archaea, and Kala, and Mesopotamia, and Samaritan tradition, occult origins. The association of Nimrod with Samaritan comes from the latter occult interpretations, not from biblical historical accounts. False mother son relationship. False mother son relationship. This tradition suggests that the Samaritan was the mother of Nimrod, making her a queen and the goddess of Babylon. Goddess worship. The proponents of this view claim that Samaritan's relationship with Nimrod was the foundation for the various ancient mother and child pagan religion. Okay, this is where all religion comes from. There is no connection between the figure of Nimrod and the mother named Mary. This is a significant departure from biblical narrative and historical accounts of Nimrod. What was the relationship between Nimrod and his mother? Which God did Nimrod worship? Let's see. Not as far as the Bible's records goes. This is about all we know of Nimrod. However, there are historical records and stories that tells us a great deal more about the man. These records and stories sometimes differ a bit in details, but the basics are usually in a place. First, Nimrod worshipped the sun god Molech. So Molech was when parents wherever they would go and they would sacrifice their children to these gods. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's see here. There is no connection between the figures of Nimrod and a mother's Mary. This is a significant departure from biblical narrative, historical accounts of Nimrod. Proponents of this view claim that Samaritans' relationships with Nimrod was the foundation for various ancient mother and child pagan religion. Destined from Mary. Now, as far as the record goes, there is about all we know of Nimrod. However, there are historical records and stories that tells us a great deal more about the man. These records and stories sometimes different in detail, but basically are used in the first place. Nimrod worshipped the sun god Molech. How would the people worship these gods like Molech? Based upon ancient texts, people worship Molech through ritualistic child sacrifice, particularly during the times of crisis. The practice, which also includes Demrin, chatting, and fertility rites, was condemned by ancient Israelite law and prophets. They would worship, like you can do it through many ways, worshiping through witchcraft, all that type of stuff. The idol description, most notably from biblical, rabbinical, and classical source, depicts the Molech idol as hollow brass statue with the head of a bull and the body of a man. The furniture, the statue interior served as a furnace. Priests or worship would be heated the idol with fire until it was scorched. Oh, okay. They worship gods all kind of ways. You know? Yeah, they worship gods all kind of ways. Shoot, I had got heavily into that one and forgot I ain't really read the lesson. But I guess I was just trying to get some understanding of what I was reading about. In order to understand any book, one needs to ascertain, first of all, what is the main theme of the book, what the book is trying to reveal. In this lesson, we will draw aside and the curtain and see that the central theme of the book of Daniel is the cosmetic drama being played in ancient Babylon. What happened there is a symbolic of the final great conflict which the prophecies of Daniel point out will take place in the end time, as lesson 1 revealed. The stories of the book of Daniel drama dramatize what the prophecies are predicting. What happened to God's people in ancient Babylon is a foretest of what will happen to God's people in the end time, in the time of the end. Just as cosmetic forces were at work against God's people in the time of the ancient Babylon, so in the last days there are cosmetic forces at work seeking to destroy those who are faithful to Jesus Christ. In other words, to the God of Yahweh. As the book of Daniel opened, defeat who appeared to be defeated? Daniel 1:1. King of Jehoiakim, that's the king, let's read the note. Note, the book of Daniel opens with a tremendous defeat for God's people. Okay, wait a minute. Jehoiakim, I think he was like an Israelite, the king of Judah, is delivered into the hands of King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, and the people of God are taken into captivity. They was taken into slavery, in other words, It appeared that the evil Babylonians are winning, and the struggle of God's people in the world today. Evil often seems to triumph and good seems defeated. That's true. Daniel reminds us that the same seems true in his day also. Evil seems to be good. It is. They promote evil. They promote all kinds of stuff, homosexuality and all kinds of different things, man, that goes contrary against the Bible. So this is the second study guide that I'm in, actually. Yeah. So, by His grace, I'm going to read all. These going to be some good lessons. I'm going to go through all of them. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go through all of them. The book of Daniel. That's what I named the video. The book of Daniel. And then I got these other lessons. These are the Daniel. This has got the ones for Revelation 2. Daniel, Revelation 7. This is what I used to read a lot when I used to be in the Christian church. But they still got some good, true information in here. Although some of it may not line up with the Bible, since I'm coming more into the truth. But most of it probably will. You know what I'm saying? Sabbath, the seal of God, things like that. You know what I'm saying? So I got to get me some pencil and paper because I know how to do the Facaris Fili Dei. Facaris. Now those are a whole nother topic. They're going into the so-called that's going into Esau and all of that. Facaris is spelled Bicarius. Facaris. And DEI stands for 501 or 501. And FILII. DEI is Dei. All those are the vicar for the Son of God and all that type of stuff. Matter of fact, let's look that part up. What is the meaning of Facaris Fili Dei? Facaris described an experience felt through another person rather than, okay, hold on. Let me type it in. Vicarius. And I know how to spell that one good because I used to go to them Revelation seminars when I was in the Christian church, and that's what helped me with, you know what I mean. When they used to have Bible Vicarius Phili. All right, that's Filii, Phili, DEI. DEI would stand for like 501. The Vicarius Filii Dei is a Latin phrase meaning vicar of the Son of God, and is a title that was once attributed to the Pope. That's right. Dei is Vicarius Filii Dei is a Latin phrase. Yeah, it's right, because that goes to, okay. Though it's used in the donations of Constantine, referring to Saint Peter, however, there is no historical evidence of Vicarius Filii Dei being an official or current title of the Pope, which is instead Vicar of Christ. The phrase become prominent in some Protestant circles due to the claim that is Rome numerous values v equals -1. Yeah, v -1. I'm gonna take time and write this stuff about here. This is easy. V -1, 1 -1, C -100. That's right. I remember that. Yes, right. C -100. A -0. R -0. Okay. I -1. B -5. S -0. F -0. L -1. L -50, and 1 minus L -1, and 1, and L -1. I think that's I. It's supposed to be I -1. D is -500, and E -0, and I -1 added up to 666, a number associated with the best. A number associated with the beast in the book of Revelation. B plus 1 plus C plus A plus R. I can write that down, use that. All of that. Yeah. So I just got it like that. So I took a picture of it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and end this. I did a lot of reading. I think I did more reading than anything. I never did that much reading. Yeah.